Okay, this is a really good question. So, as we all know, Signal has been, or I hope most of us know, Signal's been making the news because of Signalgate and all the stuff happening with the US government. And Signal's been seeing a huge increase in users, I think the most they've ever seen. And it's getting all this publicity. So, this person asks, do you think too much attention will cause it to get crowded and at the end something will happen like Durov's Telegram story? So, what happened with Telegram, if people don't remember, is French authorities and actually many jurisdictions were trying to get Telegram to remove certain content or comply with certain orders. And Telegram would typically just refuse to comply. And because of this, Durov was actually arrested in France, which, by the way, I think they already had an order for his arrest before he entered the country, and he entered anyway. So kind of a dumb move if that is exactly how it panned out. But either way, I think it's a valid concern. If Signal, is getting all this attention and it's used for bad things, can't something like what happened to Telegram happen to Signal? My response to this is fundamentally likely no. Here's why. Telegram, by default, not end-to-end encrypted, and by default, they are now putting the liability on themselves because the way that it's structured. If you join a group chat on Telegram, which doesn't have end-to-end encryption because they don't have that, and then you go ahead and send things, blah, 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 and you send something illegal there, and law enforcement finds out, they ping Telegram and they go, hey, you have this data on your server and you have the data to send to us, so you have to comply with this order. And then Telegram can choose to comply with it or not. But if they say no, then that puts a huge target on Telegram. Signal doesn't have this problem because Signal doesn't have data to hand over in the first place outside of those 3 data points I covered earlier, almost none of which can really compromise you in any real way in most situations. So because of that, Signal is just outright a more resilient tool against this kind of stuff. Because Signal is built by default to just be an open source end-to-end encrypted messenger that just protects your privacy out of the box, it removes the liability from Signal when it puts it on each user individually, which does open up individual users to more attacks. This is why we're seeing Russians try to attack journalists' phones to get access to their Signal messages, because it's easier to do that than to try to attack Signal directly. And same thing with governments. Rather than governments trying to attack Signal with BS legal reasons to try to steal user info, Signal literally can't comply with them. Even if they say, sure, we're going to comply with every law enforcement request we can, they literally can't. So it's a much more resilient tool. And this is why people need to use resilient tools. And this is why I'm so tired of seeing people say they like a platform because they have trust in the person who runs it, because the person says, oh, it's free speech, I won't comply with anything. But really, what you should be using is better than that, which is a platform where you don't have to trust the person running it. And anyone who used Telegram, but during this, we've been warning you for years that this stuff could happen. We've been warning you that Telegram can comply and has complied with law enforcement requests. They were never transparent about it. The only thing Telegram ever did is try to just say they were private, and they were just trust me bro vibes. And it's the same thing now with new services that are saying they're free speech without actually having technology that's resilient and actually censorship resistant. And they still comply with law enforcement requests because they're not built from the ground up with tech that is actually aligned with their values. That is my rant there. Use tech that actually does what it's promising to do. Don't just trust vibes. And that's why I think something like Signal is better. And things like SimpleX, things like Session, all these other messengers actually take this stuff seriously, unlike Telegram. This clip came from our main channel, Techlore, where we talk about digital rights and how to keep yourself and the people around you safe online, as well as just reclaiming a little bit more ownership. If you enjoy this content, want more nuance, and want a little bit more of a deep dive, check out our main channel here on the screen or in the description, and we'll see you there.